Listen carefully. Before your mind wanders, before your thumb even thinks about moving, pause. This is not random. This is not another video in a long scroll. This is a moment that has been waiting for you. Yes, you. Right now. God says, I need to talk to you for 30 minutes, and it has to be right now. Not later. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more ready. Right now. Because your heart has been carrying questions you haven't spoken out loud. Your spirit has been tired in ways words cannot explain. And you've been strong for so long that no one noticed how close you were to giving up. Don't skip. Stay here with me. You didn't click this by accident. There are no coincidences at this moment. The same God who counts every breath you take, who sees every tear you hide, arranged this encounter with precision. While others are distracted, you were guided. While others scrolled past, something in you stopped. And that something is your soul recognizing truth. You've been asking silently, why does everything feel so heavy? You've been wondering, am I falling behind? You've been thinking, why do I feel empty even when I try so hard? God sees that. And He says, I know. Hold on, stay with me. There are battles you're fighting that no one knows about. Smiles you wear that don't match the weight you feel inside. Nights where your body rests but your mind refuses to. And mornings where you wake up already tired, already worried, already bracing yourself for another day. But hear this clearly, your struggle has not gone unnoticed. God says, I have been closer than you think. Even in moments where you felt abandoned, even when prayers felt unanswered, even when doors closed without explanation, He was there. Not watching from a distance. Not waiting for you to fix yourself. He was there, shaping you, strengthening you, protecting you from things you didn't even know were coming. This is shocking, but you need to hear it. Some delays were divine protection. Some endings were mercies in disguise. Some losses saved your future. Don't skip this part. You see, you thought you were being punished, but you were being prepared. You thought you were forgotten, but you were being repositioned. You thought God was silent, but He was working quietly in ways your eyes couldn't see yet. God says, I never left you in that season. I carried you through it. Right now, your heart may feel restless, like something is about to change, but you don't know how or when. That restlessness is not fear, it's anticipation. It's your spirit sensing that this chapter is shifting. But here's the truth no one told you. Transformation feels uncomfortable before it feels peaceful. The pressure you've been under was not meant to break you. It was meant to shape you. Diamonds don't form in comfort. Faith doesn't grow in ease. Strength doesn't come from everything going right. It comes from trusting God when nothing makes sense. Stay till the end. This is building toward something. God says, I am not late. I am precise. The timing you questioned was never delayed. It was aligned. If things had happened earlier, you would not have been ready. If doors had opened sooner, you would have walked into rooms unprepared. But now your character is stronger, your discernment sharper, your faith deeper. And that matters more than you realize. You've been comparing your journey to others, watching people move ahead while you feel stuck. But God says, stop measuring your life by someone else's timeline. I am writing a different story with you. What looks slow to you is steady to Him. What feels like waiting is actually training. What seems like silence is instruction happening beneath the surface. Don't skip. This part is for your heart. There is something coming that requires the version of you that only pressure could produce. There is a responsibility ahead that demands the wisdom you gained through struggle. There is a blessing approaching that needs the patience you learned in the waiting. God says, you're closer than you think. Closer to peace. Closer to clarity. Closer to answers that once felt impossible. But before that arrives, God needed your attention. That's why this moment feels intense. That's why these words feel personal. That's why your heart is responding even if your mind is still trying to understand. This is not just encouragement. This is alignment. Hold on, stay with me. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are human. You are not failing because you feel uncertain. You are growing. And you are not forgotten because things haven't worked out yet. God says, I am still writing your story. And the next pages will make sense of the chapters that hurt. Right now, take a breath. Let your shoulders relax. You don't have to carry everything alone. You don't have to figure out everything today. You just have to stay present in this conversation is only beginning. And what God is about to reveal next, many people never hear it at the right time. Stay here. Don't skip. Stay right here. Don't skip. What you are hearing now is not meant to entertain you. It is meant to interrupt you. There is a difference. Entertainment passes through your ears. Truth settles into your spirit and refuses to leave. God says, I am speaking now because you are finally quiet enough inside to listen. Think about that. Not quiet around you, quiet within you. All those moments where you felt exhausted, emotionally drained, mentally worn down, they were not random. They slowed you down just enough so your heart could hear what your noise had been drowning out. Stay till the end. You've been asking for clarity, but clarity doesn't come when you demand answers. It comes when you are ready to obey without seeing the full picture. That's why some prayers felt unanswered. You were asking for explanations, while God was offering direction. Here is a shocking truth most people never hear. God rarely explains himself before he moves. He reveals himself after you trust him. You wanted signs. He wanted surrender. Don't skip this moment. God says, I am not confused about your life, even when you are. Every detour you questioned, every delay you complained about, every closed door you didn't understand, none of it was chaos. It was choreography, perfectly timed, perfectly placed. Even your mistakes were not wasted. Yes, even those. You thought they disqualified you. God used them to humble you, to soften you, to make you real instead of perfect. Because perfect people don't help anyone, but transformed people change lives. Hold on. Stay with me. There is something powerful happening right now. As you listen, your spirit is being reminded of who you really are. Not who pain told you that you were. Not who failure tried to label you as. But who God created you to be. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. God says, I see you when no one claps. I honor you when no one thanks you. I strengthen you when no one notices how much you give. And here's the revelation that will shake you. Heaven keeps record of what people overlook. Every quiet act of faith. Every time you chose kindness while hurting. Every moment you didn't quit even though you wanted to. Nothing was wasted. Don't skip. Some of you are listening and feeling tears build without knowing why. That's because your soul recognizes truth faster than your mind can explain it. This message is touching places you learned to guard. Places you told yourself no one would ever understand. God says, I understand completely. You've been trying to carry things you were never meant to carry alone. Responsibilities, expectations, pressure to be strong all the time. But strength was never about doing everything yourself. Strength was always about trusting God enough to lean on him. And right now, he's asking you to let go. Not of effort, but of control. Stay till the end. What's coming next in your life will require faith, not force. Peace, not panic. Listening, not rushing. That's why God is recalibrating your heart before he changes your circumstances. If this message is speaking to you, don't keep it locked inside. Someone else is silently praying for the exact words you are hearing right now. Sometimes faith spreads when people choose to pass hope forward instead of keeping it private. And as you stay connected, as you remain present, as you keep returning to messages that strengthen your spirit, you're telling your soul what truly matters. You're choosing growth over noise, truth over distraction. Don't skip. We're not done. God says, I am about to restore what you thought was permanently broken. Not always in the way you expect. Not always through the people you expect. But always in the way that is best for you. You don't need to chase what God has already assigned to you. When the time is right, it will recognize you. It will find you. It will stay. And when that moment arrives, you'll look back at this season and realize, you were never being denied. You were being prepared. Stay here. The next part goes even deeper. Stay with me. Don't skip this moment. What comes now is the part most people never hear clearly, and that's why they stay stuck longer than they should. God says, the reason this conversation is happening now is because you are standing at a turning point. Not someday. Not soon. Now. You felt it, even if you couldn't explain it. A quiet tension in your spirit. A sense that the old ways no longer fit, but the new hasn't fully appeared yet. That uncomfortable between space is not confusion, it is transition. And transitions always feel unstable before they feel right. Here is a truth that may surprise you. God often removes your sense of certainty before He reveals your next direction. Why? Because certainty can make you rely on comfort instead of faith. God says, I am teaching you to trust my voice, not your circumstances. You were never meant to build your life on how things look. You were meant to build it on who God is. That's why situations shifted. That's why some support disappeared. That's why things you depended on no longer hold the same weight. It wasn't punishment. It was redirection. Don't skip. Some of you are holding on to versions of yourself that God has already outgrown. Old fears. Old habits. Old ways of thinking that once protected you but now limit you. God is gently, firmly asking you to release what no longer serves the future He's preparing. And yes, letting go feels scary. But hear this. What you're afraid to release is often what's blocking what you've been praying for. God says, your hands must be open to receive what's next. Stay with me. You've been asking God to change things around you, but first He's been changing something within you. Your discernment, your patience, your boundaries, your ability to walk away from what drains you without guilt. That is growth. And growth often feels lonely because not everyone can follow you into the next season. Some connections were seasonal, not permanent. Some conversations had to end so your peace could begin. This is not loss. This is alignment. Don't skip this truth. You are not being pulled apart. You are being refined. The fire you walked through did not destroy you. It revealed you. Stronger, clearer, more grounded than before. God says, you survived what you thought would end you because I was preparing you for something that requires strength. There is a reason you didn't break. There is a reason you're still here. There is a reason your heart, though tired, still hopes. That reason is purpose. Stay till the end. The next chapter of your life will not be built on panic or pressure. It will be built on clarity, on peace, on knowing when to move and when to wait. And that wisdom only comes from walking through uncertainty with faith. God says, I am not rushing you, and I am not delaying you. I am leading you. Right now, you don't need all the answers. You need trust. You don't need control. You need alignment. And you don't need to fear the unknown, because God is already there. Hold this moment close. Let it settle. Let it strengthen you. Because what's coming next will only make sense to those who stayed through the process. Stay here. The next part will speak directly to what you've been praying about in silence. Stay right here. Don't skip. This is the moment where everything begins to settle into place, not because all answers appear, but because peace finally enters where fear once lived. God says, you have reached the part of the journey where understanding is less important than trust. You've spent so much time trying to make sense of everything, replaying conversations, reanalyzing decisions, wondering what you could have done differently. But clarity does not always come from looking back. Sometimes it comes from finally looking up. Stay till the end. Here is a revelation that changes everything. God is not asking you to figure out your future. He is asking you to walk with Him into it. Step by step, moment by moment, breath by breath. You were never meant to carry the full weight of tomorrow today. God says, I give you strength daily because grace is released daily. That's why when you tried to imagine the future, it felt overwhelming. You were borrowing worries that were not meant for this moment. You were carrying weight that belongs to another day. And now, God is calling you back to now. Don't skip this. There is something powerful about this exact moment. As you listen, something unseen is shifting. Your heart is becoming lighter. Your thoughts are slowing down. Your spirit is remembering that it does not walk alone. God says, I have already gone ahead of you. The conversations you're worried about, I am already there. The decisions you're afraid to make, I am already there. The doors you think are closed, I already know which ones will open. Nothing surprises God. Some of you are realizing something important right now. You don't need more motivation, you need reassurance. And reassurance doesn't shout. It speaks calmly, steadily, truthfully. That's what this moment is. Stay with me. If these words are resonating deeply, it's because your heart recognizes alignment. And when alignment happens, it's meant to be held on to, revisited, and quietly passed along, because peace multiplies when shared. God says, what I am giving you is not only for you. There are people connected to your life who will one day benefit from the strength you are gaining, the wisdom you're building, the patience you're learning, the calm you're choosing instead of chaos. Your growth is bigger than you think. Don't skip. You once thought your sensitivity was a weakness. God says, it is a gift. You once thought your delays meant failure. God says, they meant refinement. You once thought your quiet seasons meant nothing was happening. God says, everything important was happening. And here is the once in a lifetime truth most people miss. God often does His deepest work in silence because loud transformations attract ego, but quiet ones build character. That's what's been happening to you. Stay till the end. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not alone. God says, I am pleased with your perseverance, even when you doubted yourself. So release the pressure to be perfect. Release the fear of missing out. Release the need to rush what God is unfolding with intention. What is meant for you will not pass you by. Hold on to this moment. Return to it when the noise comes back. Let it remind you that you are guided, guarded, and growing, even when you can't see the full picture yet. God says, rest now. I've got this. Stay here. Let the peace settle. Stay with me. Don't skip now. What you are about to hear is not meant to rush you. It is meant to steady you. This is where the message moves from reassurance into realignment. God says, the season you are entering will require a calmer heart, not a louder one. You have lived too long in survival mode, always alert, always bracing, always preparing for the next problem before the last one even finished. But hear this clearly, what's ahead of you cannot be carried by anxiety. It can only be carried by trust. Stay till the end. This is a surprising truth many never accept. Peace is not the reward after everything works out. Peace is the requirement before things begin to work out. And God has been teaching you peace not by removing storms, but by teaching you how to stand steady inside them. That's why you're different now. Things that once shook you don't hit the same way. Words that once controlled you don't hold the same power. Situations that once confused you now invite you to pause instead of panic. That is growth. Don't skip. God says, you are no longer who you were when you first prayed for this. Read that slowly in your heart. The version of you that asked for change could not have handled what is coming. But the version of you listening right now? Stronger, wiser, more discerning, more grounded. And that matters. Some of you are afraid because life feels quiet. No chaos, no drama, no constant emotional spikes. But that quiet is not emptiness, it is stability. And stability feels unfamiliar when you're used to surviving. God says, do not mistake peace for stagnation. What is building now does not need noise to grow. It needs consistency. It needs faithfulness in small moments. It needs trust when nothing dramatic is happening. Stay with me. You don't need to prove anything anymore. Not to people. Not to your past. Not even to yourself. Your worth was never tied to how much you endured. It was always rooted in who you are. And who you are is becoming clearer. Don't skip this truth. You are allowed to move forward without guilt. You are allowed to outgrow explanations. You are allowed to choose peace even if others don't understand it. God says, I did not bring you this far to abandon you now. The strength you feel today was built intentionally. The clarity you're gaining was earned through patience. The calm settling into your spirit is a sign that alignment is happening. And alignment always comes before acceleration. Stay till the end. There will be moments ahead where you remember this message, not because of the words, but because of how it made you feel steady, anchored, seen. And in those moments, you'll realize this was not just a video. It was a pause God asked you to take. A pause to breathe. A pause to trust. A pause to remember, you are guided. Hold on to that. Don't rush away from this calm. Let it stay with you. Let it follow you into your next step. God says, walk forward now. I'm with you. Stay right here. Don't skip. This is the part where perspective shifts, and once it does, you will never see your life the same way again. God says, what you thought was the end was actually the signal. You believed certain doors closing meant failure. You assumed silence meant rejection. You interpreted stillness as being stuck. But here is the once in a lifetime revelation most people never understand. God often ends chapters quietly so you don't cling to them emotionally. Loud endings create attachment. Quiet endings create freedom. Stay about till the end. If everything had collapsed loudly, you would still be replaying it. If people had explained everything, you would still be analyzing it. But because it faded, because it drifted, because it ended without clarity, you were released without chains. God says, I spared you the pain of knowing what would have broken you. Don't skip this truth. Some answers would have damaged your peace. Some explanations would have delayed your healing. Some truths were too heavy for the version of you at that time. So God protected you, not by revealing everything, but by moving you forward anyway. That's not weakness. That's mercy. Stay with me. You are entering a phase where your discernment matters more than your effort. Where your ability to pause will matter more than your ability to push. Where listening will matter more than reacting. God says, not every opportunity is a blessing, and not every open door is mine. That's why you're becoming more selective, more careful, more intentional. You no longer chase what once excited you. You wait. You observe. You feel before you move. That is wisdom forming. Don't skip. There will be people who don't recognize you in this season. They remember the old version, the one who overgave, overexplained, overextended. But God says, that version carried lessons, not permanence. You didn't change because you became cold. You changed because you became clear. Stay till the end. You are learning something rare: how to be calm without being passive, strong without being loud, confident without needing approval. That balance is not common. It is cultivated through trials that forced you to choose peace over pride. And now, you stand differently. God says, you no longer need external validation to confirm internal truth. That's why silence doesn't scare you anymore. That's why solitude feels safe. That's why you don't rush to fill gaps with noise. You've learned that clarity often arrives when everything else steps back. Stay with me. What's ahead of you will feel unfamiliar, not because it's wrong, but because it's healthy. You're not used to alignment without chaos. You're not used to progress without pressure. You're not used to growth that doesn't hurt. But God says, this time, it will feel steady. And steady does not mean small. Quiet does not mean weak. Slow does not mean late. Don't skip this moment. You are not losing momentum, you are gaining direction. You are not fading, you are focusing. And you are not drifting, you are being led. God says, trust the calm. It is not emptiness. It is confirmation. Let that settle. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you that this conversation was never about urgency, it was about alignment. Stay here. The final moments will seal what your spirit already knows. Stay with me. Don't skip now. This is where everything you've been feeling finally finds meaning. This is not the end of a video. This is the confirmation your heart has been waiting for. God says, you were never lost. You were being led in a way you could only understand later. Look back, not with regret, but with awareness. Every step that felt uncertain still moved you forward. Every pause still protected you. Every moment of doubt still refined you. Nothing in your life has been random, even the moments that felt pointless. Stay till the end. Here is a truth that changes perspective forever. God does not guide you by removing uncertainty. He guides you by teaching you how to walk through it without fear. That's why you're calmer now. That's why you don't react the way you used to. That's why you no longer beg for clarity, you wait for peace. You have changed, and that change is intentional. Don't skip this. There was a time you thought strength meant holding on. God taught you that real strength is knowing when to release. There was a time you thought faith meant certainty. God showed you that faith is choosing trust even when certainty is absent. And now, you stand at a place where fear no longer controls your decisions. God says, you are ready for what comes next because you are no longer desperate for it. Desperation distorts judgment. Peace sharpens it. Stay with me. Some of you are realizing that the greatest miracle in your life was not what God gave you, but what He removed. The anxiety that ruled you, the people who drained you, the expectations that crushed you. You didn't lose those things. You outgrew them. Don't skip. You are stepping into a season where alignment will feel natural, where effort will feel focused, where progress will feel clean, not chaotic. This season will not demand everything from you. It will meet you where you are. God says, you will not have to force what I have already approved. That's how you'll know it's right. Stay till the end. When challenges come, and they will, you will face them differently. Not with panic, not with overthinking. You will face them with steadiness, because now you know something you didn't before. You are not alone. You are not unprepared. You are not late. God says, walk forward with confidence. I am still speaking. I am still guiding. I am still with you. Let that be the final truth that settles into your spirit. Not noise. Not urgency. Not pressure. Peace. Hold on to it. Carry it with you. Return to it when doubt tries to rise. And remember, this moment was not accidental. You stayed because you were meant to hear it. Stay right here. Don't skip. This is where everything you've heard settles into one clear truth, and it will change how you move from this moment forward. God says, I asked for your attention because I am about to confirm what your heart already knows. You have felt it quietly. A steady knowing beneath the noise. A calm that didn't come from answers, but from alignment. This is not emotional momentum. This is grounding. This is your spirit recognizing direction. Stay till the end. Here is the revelation that reshapes everything. God does not rush clarity. He reveals it when your heart is stable enough to carry it. That's why this conversation didn't happen earlier. You weren't late. You were becoming ready. Don't skip this. There were moments when you wanted God to speak loudly, clearly, immediately. But He chose patience over volume. Because loud instructions can be followed without faith, but quiet guidance builds trust. God says, I trained you to listen inwardly so you would not be shaken outwardly. And now, look at you. You're no longer pulled by every opinion. You're no longer rushed by every opportunity. You're no longer shaken by every delay. That is maturity. Stay with me. You may not see the full path yet, but you see enough to take the next step calmly. You no longer need guarantees. You no longer need reassurance from everyone. You no longer need to explain your peace. God says, when my peace guards you, you don't need permission to move forward. Don't skip. This season will feel different. Not dramatic. Not rushed. Not chaotic. It will feel intentional. Clean. Focused. And that's how you'll know it's real. What God builds does not require panic to sustain it. You are learning to move without forcing. To choose without fear. To wait without anxiety. Stay till the end. If doubt tries to return later, remember this moment. Remember how steady you felt. Remember that clarity didn't arrive as noise, it arrived as peace. And peace is one of the clearest confirmations God gives. God says, I am not finished speaking to you, but you are finished doubting my presence. Let that truth anchor you. As you move forward, carry this calm. Let it guide your decisions. Let it protect your heart. Let it remind you that you are seen, led, and supported, even when the path unfolds one step at a time. Don't rush away from this stillness. Stay with it. Let it walk with you. God says, go gently now. I am with you. Stay here. Don't skip now. This is where everything quietly locks into place, not with noise, but with certainty. God says, what you feel right now is not emotion. It is recognition. You recognize truth when it reaches you at the right time, not because it explains everything, but because it feels steady, grounded, and real. That is what is happening inside you right now. Stay till the end. Here is the revelation many never notice. God confirms direction through peace, not pressure. When something is meant for you, it does not demand that you rush, panic, or prove yourself. It invites you to move forward with clarity and calm. And that is exactly what is forming in you. Don't skip this. There were seasons when you thought faith meant holding on tightly. God taught you that faith also means trusting enough to loosen your grip. You don't need to control what God is already handling. God says, release the need to know how. Trust me with the when. That shift changes everything. Stay with me. You may still face uncertainty, but uncertainty no longer frightens you the way it once did. Because now you understand something deeper. Uncertainty is not the absence of guidance. It is often the space where guidance unfolds step by step. God has been teaching you to walk, not to predict. Stay till the end. You are not behind. You are not missing out. You are not overlooked. God says, I have been shaping your character because your calling requires depth. Surface, level strength would not have sustained what's ahead. Quick success would not have protected your heart. So God chose the slower path, the stronger path. And now, you're ready. Don't skip. This next season will not drain you the way previous ones did. You won't have to overextend to be seen. You won't have to over-explain to be understood. What is meant for you will align naturally. God says, "You will recognize my work because it will bring peace, not confusion."